Okay, in this video, I'm going to show how to create a line drawing from a piece of artwork in Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud. So first off, we're going to go ahead and start a new document in Photoshop and set it to 8.5 by 11 because that's the size of the image I'm working with, and Adobe RGB, and click OK. And then we're going to do a file, place embedded, and grab my image, which is here, and say place. And then if it lines up okay, I can click the check mark, and then I'll go ahead and make it full screen. And then we're going to start selecting it. Well, actually, we're going to do some things first. So first off, I want to make another copy of this image, and then I want to save the original copy in a group. I'm going to call that original. Stick that under there. And then I'll do the other one. And I'm going to go ahead and lock that up, so we can't make any changes to it, and turn it off. I guess I can leave the white background, it doesn't matter. And then we're going to create another group, and we'll call that one edits. And those aren't really necessary, but I like to put things in that order. And then we want to, before we begin, we're going to flip this image around, because what we want to do in this particular case, I want to outline the character so we can create, or have an artist create, the back of this character. So in this case, I want to do, I think it's image, nope, it's not, edit, transform, and flip horizontally. Okay, so there's my character. Now I want to start outlining him. So I'll do a quick selection tool, and I can change the mouse size if I need to, and start following the edges. And actually, I've got a little more than I want already. So if I use the Alt key, I will change to a minus sign, and I can click out these areas. If I make my brush a little bit smaller, I have a little bit more control over the edges. And back to the plus sign, minus again. It's a little bit sketchy in here. Minus sign, I want to get the stuff in the middle. Darn it. Just very carefully. And I want to actually get a little bit on the outside of this. Too much, of course. It's much harder to do with a mouse than the way I usually do it. Still no luck. Do that. And I want to try to capture this piece. There we go. Now I got it. Back to the plus. See, I just, maybe if I zoom in a little more. Go back to my selection tool. There we go. And now we'll go ahead and then get my selection tool again. And I'm not holding anything down. The selection tool is still active. Just drawing over the areas that I want to select. tiny bit there. It's pretty good so far. And my minus very difficult image. A smaller brush. Hold down my Alt key and get that out of there. I really don't have to do it. In this particular case, actually, I do want to try to get the best selection I can. Switch to the H and move this sky a little bit. Back to my plus. Get a little more of this basic area. Let's go ahead and back down. And back to, I don't know what the W, I guess. I'll use W next time. It's my shortcut. Oh shoot, got too much again. Smaller brush. Okay. Just trying to get a little of that. And plus sign here. Get the tail, but not the fire and the flames. That's pretty good down there. Go with a bigger brush again in here. Come back to that in a minute. Shoot, kind of grabbed too much again. I'm going to have to come back and capture that all in a minute. Just trying to get the overall feel for it now. These arms are. Okay, smaller brush. So you can hopefully capture this without too much of the rest. That little, oh, darn it. Try to get this nail. Yeah, that's not too bad. And around the top of the foot, which I think ends around here. Okay, and under the foot. Too much. area up here. And I think there's one in here as well. Okay, that's the majority of the areas. Let me go ahead and zoom in now. I've got a little of these at a time. Back to the brush. Oops, a smaller brush. Hold down the Alt key. And then the plus key to try to get this little spike in the center. Getting more than I want. Darn it. Okay, let's go look at another area over here. And do want this spike. I want that spike. Okay, that's not too bad. Fix that a little bit. Okay, and right in here. See where his foot is. Over a little bit. Now in this area in here. Okay, that's as good as we're going to do for now. Let's go back here, size, and look at it real quick. Looks like we've got most of it. So the next thing I want to do is click my refine tool. Where is my refine tool? This is not fun. I don't see. Oh, no wonder. Hang on. Change back. Now, refine edge. And pull that over here. So, refine edge lets me clean up these edges a little bit. And there's a couple of views. So, one view is with this overlay, which usually is what I usually use, but I can't use it here because the background is so red to start with. There's also different views you can look at. You can look at the on layers, but in this particular object, we're going to use the plus. And it doesn't look too bad, but we'll go ahead here. And first thing we'll do is smart radius. And you'll notice that I can change the radius quite a bit. I'm just going to bump it to about 0.5 and try to clean up the edges a little bit that way. And you have to be careful with the smooth. It could cause a little trouble, but I do want to smooth that out a little bit. Smooth out my edges, and I can definitely do some cleaning up with the contrast tool. And another tool to use is this edge detection tool. Not seeing a place that I really need to do that much, but I'll show you how it works. Click edge detection, make a smaller brush. I guess I'll have to go up here to do that because my shortcut keys aren't working. And just go across the edge here. And as long as I keep the plus sign just to the outside of the edge, you see that cleans that edge up a little bit. But it also can introduce like it did. So I need to go back to the edge refinement tool and undo what I did, at least to some degree. Again, hard to drive with the mouse. So in this case, that one's working a little better. And I'll go down here and do the same. Sort of clean those edges up a little bit. Go back to the other tool. Go to figure out that nail a little bit. And this one over here. Mouse isn't cooperating. But anyway, that's not too bad, just as it is to see what I'm doing. Back to carried away there. Okay. All right. So once I'm ready for that, done a pretty good job there. I want to do decontaminate colors, which will also help a little bit. And you can adjust this to bring some of those edges down. In this particular drawing, it's not overly effective. And then I want to make sure I output a new layer with a layer mask, and then click OK. So now I have a layer mask. And before I get started on this white, let's go in here and create a new layer. And we'll give it, oops, layer tool. Okay. And then we'll give it a color. Well, probably some kind of blue in this case. And then go over and select my paint bucket tool and change the color of that background so I can see a little better of what I'm doing. And let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. So you can get down here so you can see where we're going to go. So now I'm over here back on the layer. I want to click on the mask itself and then grab my brush tool and resize it. It's way too large in this case. And then you can see as I paint, if my black's on top here, then I'm painting over top. The nice thing about the masking tool, oh, my brush is way too large. And this is difficult with a mouse, is I can flip these around and undo to some degree what I did. So it's kind of like an eraser that you can get back. Or you can also use the X key to switch those colors, which is really the best way to do this. Easiest way, I should say. So over here I want to do a little bit. Wow, I'm just having so much trouble with the mouse itself. Moving my mouse. Ah, shoot. Back to the hand, so move it over a little bit. Just want to do a little bit for the demo here. Go back to my brush tool, and I'm using B to go back to the brush tool and see if I got it wrong. So I'm going to do X to get my brush tool back to where I want it to be. Much easier to do this with a Wacom tablet. And go back over here. I think I need X. Yeah. So anyway, you get the idea from that piece. Back down here in a second. I could clean this up a little bit. And down here. I'm too carried away again with my go. Okay, so anyway, you can see that using the brush tool, I can clean up these edges a bit. Now, let's go back to see what that is on the side, and I need to see what I need to do here. Done this before. Okay, now I need to right click here, add mask to selection. Okay, and then we're going to go to the paths panel. So we're in the paths panel, and now I need to click on this little hamburger and make work path. Now this tolerance thing will lose detail if I go to large. So let me just go back to 2 point pixels. Actually, let's do 3 so you can see what that does. So I'm going to say, okay, go ahead and do that. And I've made a work path. And let's go real quick over to layers so you can see what that did. So you see I've lost all my detail. I don't have much detail in this path. So we'll go undo that. Back to load selection. Back to my paths and click the hamburger again and make a new work path. And this time let's use the lowest tolerance it'll allow us to use, which is 0.5. This will let me retain as much detail as possible in the outline that we're going to make. All right, so now I've done that. Now let's go back over again and look at this. And now you can see there's just all sorts of little dots. So my detail is pretty much in order, as good as I can get it. And we'll go back again to the path panel. And we're going to duplicate this. We're going to convert it from a work path to a regular path. And then I'm going to duplicate it, which I don't really need to do, but I'm going to duplicate it anyway. And then we're going to go ahead and on the work path, oh, no, we're not. Got to do one more thing. Come back over to layers, and we're going to create a new layer. Layer, new layer. And now we'll go back to paths. And when we go here, these are now active. And the one on the left is the fill. So if I click that, it'll fill it with whatever color is in the palette. Undo that. The first thing I want to do is also make it black. And we're going to use a stroke instead. And so you can see that's now my stroke size. Oh, I still made a mistake. Doggone it. Let's get rid of that. Keep back on our new layer. First, let's go up to the brush tool and set the size of our pixels. And so in this case, I want to make it 1 pixel. And I do want to make the hardness 100. Now we'll go back to the path and click the stroke. And we now have a 1 pixel outline of our character. So let's go back up here just so you can see what we have, what we started with. That's our guy, that's our outline.